first and foremost, if you or someone you know is struggling with suicidal ideation, if you have a plan, if you have intent, give 988 a call if you're in the United States. If you're outside the United States, find a crisis hotline or find someone to talk to, because talking about it helps, and that's what this song is about. It's kind of from the suicide's point of view, for lack of a better term. It's the more you keep it inside, the stronger things are. So find someone to talk to in a safe space without judgment, so you can help. So you can have help to process these thoughts. So we will now go into the song Screaming Suicide. It's track number 3 of the 72 Seasons album by my favorite band, Metallica. So I'll go over the lyrics, and if the music stands out, I will comment on that too. So without further ado, let's go. And it's the wah with Hammett, and he has every right to use this wah, so use it, Kirk. Nice use of panning with the speakers. That's probably Hetfield. Nice chunky groove. You can bob your head up and down. Okay, so kind of in line with Sad But True. Sad But True is these intrusive thoughts, these inner critics, and Hetfield really does a great job of bringing these to life with the hope of giving sound advice on hopefully what to do with them and not having these thoughts become a reality. So, welcome to this life born, and it's pretty straightforward. So welcome to this life born into the fight here to claim your dream. In Hetfield's case, it's being a rock star, look you in the eye, patch the broken sky, craving dopamine. So this could really be, coping mechanisms, whether it's helpful or unhelpful, to chase that dream or to have a break from the pain that's going on. So at least in these lyrics, it's claiming the dream, chasing the dream, craving that dopamine, that dopamine rush that dulls that kind of makes the pain go away. But then my voice appears, teaching you of fears. Are you good enough? So it's that really intrusive thought of self-doubt, and then saying, these nice thoughts that you have, they're just lies, and saying that you should give up meaning, to die by suicide. And so one thing to do when you are having these thoughts is recognize that you have them, because the more you try and bury them, the louder they get. And so you do this by talking to someone and getting them out. Accept that the thoughts are there, and find ways to get them out, whether it's distracting yourself, but you don't want that distraction to become avoidance, or it's feeling your emotions that these thoughts may be distracting you from. So maybe you're really sad, maybe you're really angry, and it's, again, I'm going to say the word safe space a lot, and I am saying this in a non-joking manner. I know it's used as a pejorative these days, but all people have safe spaces. It's a space where you're not judged, where you are welcome by others. And awesome, because there are a lot of places in the world where people are not. So why not, at least for moments, have these spaces where, you're not judged, and, to kind of prepare you for the spaces that you will inevitably be judged, whether it's an online space or a space in real life. All right, so this is the suicidal voice, or the intrusive thought, saying, listen to me. So what these lyrics are, and again, they seem like simple lyrics, but they're straightforward, but they're very, very effective. So what he's saying is, again, just like Sad But True, it is the inner critic coming to life. It's the inner critic singing this song. So don't ever speak my name. Remember, you're to blame. This is your fault that I'm there. Keep me inside. My name is suicide. So the more that it's kept inside, the more that it wells up, the bigger that it gets, and the more that it's kept inside, the more, unhelpful or maladaptive coping skills people can use. Drinking, drug use, and even distraction of what's considered helpful behaviors to the point of avoiding these thoughts. So someone could exercise a lot to the point where it's not good for them. Someone can go on a long ass walk with the point of avoiding. It's one thing to have a distraction from these thoughts, and it's another thing to avoid them altogether. So maybe, I don't know, you're at work and you don't have time to really face these intrusive thoughts because you're at work. But it's advised when you get home, at least give yourself that time to really process these thoughts. And then if you have a professional to speak with, whether it's a therapist or someone, on the suicide hotline, it's having that space to do it. And again, that Lifeline is 988 if you're in the United States, that you can dial to at least talk to someone. They're trained to provide those spaces for people. So it's doing the opposite of what the lyrics are saying. It's having the word suicide out there, because sometimes it can be considered, oh, don't you say that, and why mention this? If you mention this, it'll spread it. If you mention it in such a way where it's not glorified, and if you mention it in such a way where it's out there, where people can talk about it, that's where the healing can begin. Okay, so with the curse another day, spirit locked away, punish and deprive, hate to be awake, living a mistake, more dead than alive. So really sounds like depression. But then a voice appears and whispers in your ears, you are good enough. So that is kind of, instead of the critic from the first verse, it is more of the helpful thoughts. You are good enough is a helpful core belief, as opposed to you're not worth it. If that unhelpful core belief of you're not worth it is there, it's hard to turn that around, even if someone says that you are, because you don't necessarily believe it. So it's building a foundation, and it takes some work to develop that helpful core belief. It's finding the evidence for it. No matter how small you may think it is, it's finding the evidence for that. And then, maybe having actions to make that core belief go stronger, or really examining those thoughts. So this is where thoughts are so powerful. Again, they're invisible, but they can bring people down. So it's so you're good enough throwing down a rope, a life. So people think throwing down a rope, it could conjure images of rope to hang yourself with, but this is instead a lifeline of hope, not giving up. So it's really finding it within oneself where that's the most effective. If you rely on others to do it, I would say in the beginning, awesome, I'll take it. And then it's working on developing those skills within yourself to do that. Because if you rely on others to lift you up, it fosters a realm of, or a world of dependency or codependency. And the results of that are also very devastating on mental health and very stressful to those involved. Here comes the guitar solo. Oh, not yet. Eventually. There it is. It's that like very AC/DC influenced guitar solo. Even like sound-wise, it sounds like Angus Young. Okay, and then another solo. So, terrified in sleepless nights, caught in the spotlight. Listen, Hetfield and the band most of their lives have been in spotlights, like literal spotlights, on and off the stage, really. So, caught in spotlight, dead to rights, isolate and fight your mind, telling you you're left behind. So again, isolation is a sign that things aren't going well. Usually because of shame that what would people think of me if they see me? So therefore, I don't want to be seen, and it's your mind or yourself telling you, well, they're just going to abandon you anyway. So again, all these unhelpful thoughts that lead to feelings that people don't want to express, which then lead to behaviors that are very harmful. So, like, the moral of this is, regardless of what feelings you're feeling or whatever emotions you're feeling, it's finding an outlet for them. So, one of them can certainly be music. That's a very like Jimmy Page kind of run. This is Hetfield's spoken word section. Not yet. Oh my god, I just keep getting... I keep calling it earlier. There it is. Or there he is. Yeah, so my lying voice inside keeps drinking cyanide. So again, it's I guess imagining the suicidal act or drinking, poison, obviously, and no more can you run into the sun. So this could have a, there could be a double meaning to it. And no more can you run into the sun meaning, light, there's hope, life. So that's what I think the lyrics are. Not like literally running into the sun, because that would mean death. But they're saying, and no more can you run into the sun. And the reminds me of Unforgiven too, where it's now I see the sun. Now I see the sun. So I think whether Hetfield knows it or not, he's I don't know. That'd be an interesting question for him. And no more can you run into the sun. Is he consciously referring to the Unforgiven? And then Metallica on Death Magnetic has a song Cyanide. And that is about that has suicide in the lyrics as well. Okay, so this is the resolution of the song, which the meaning. So song starts really good storytelling. The song starts off as the unhelpful character in it, which is the inner critic, that voice of doubt, which could lead to a suicide. But now, towards the end, the voice is going, my name is being spoken. And when the name is spoken, it loses its power. And I know Hetfield has a quote during the So What interview, and I'm just pulling it up if my phone lets me do this. So I'm just finding it now, where he says, it's kind of inviting your demon to dinner, So he said, So invite that demon to dinner, hang out and understand it, get to know it better. That will take the surprise or sting out of it. The demon's not going away. I would argue that the demon could go away, and one way to make it go away is to expose this and to take the shame out of it, to get help from professionals who have seen these demons and know the patterns and know what they're like. And especially if on higher levels of care or even with group therapy, it's being around other people and their demons and kind of being like, oh, all right, well, if other people have this, there's some solidarity in that, you're not alone, and it's getting to know these demons again in a safe space. So Hetfield said the demon's not going away. Again, I'll argue with that. I think it can. I get caught up a lot in there's something wrong with me, I have to change it or else. And then he says, and I think the key for me, at least what I'm feeling lately, is you learn about it. If you don't like something, learn about it, and it will teach you something. And that I absolutely agree with. And maybe he thinks that demon's not going away is that we'll always have those voices of doubt. So that's what I think that he means, unless the demon is something a lot stronger and more harmful than that. So if that's what he means, then I do agree. The demon's not going away, because chances are we will have that voice of doubt. But the more skills you learn, the more you can counteract that voice of doubt and know what it's kind of doing. Those voices are kind of, if you want to reframe it they're not necessarily trying to bring you down, which is kind of strange, because the results of those thoughts, you will be brought down permanently. But one way to at least look at it is it's setting the alarm bells off. It's warning you that something's going on and that it needs to be explored. Personally, I think our minds, I wish they were more direct. They're just not like that. They're just not like that. I wish they were. So it's kind of, I have a feeling during this interview he was probably referring to this song, but it's getting it out there. It's not just talking to anyone, because you can certainly talk to someone and they can make it worse. So it's finding someone who will listen to you, validate what you're saying, and most importantly, not judge you. So the more that you get it out, the better, or at least the very least, the less worse you'll feel. So you've given back the blame, where it's no longer blaming yourself. It's blaming, if it's trauma-based, it's blaming, people who experience trauma, sometimes they blame themselves. So it's learning how to think in a way where you put the blame where it belongs on the perpetrators. So it goes, keep me deep inside, and then it goes, don't you keep me inside, screaming suicide. So screaming suicide means if you scream it out, you'll find the help you need in order to help cope with those thoughts so you can remain living. So, it's ending to where that voice is no longer needed. Because once that voice has been exposed, it can now go away. So now that I'm exposed inside, again, reaching out for help, and shined a light on cyanide. So cyanide being another word for suicide, or poison, the poison, inside us. You have cyanide, you die. I'm no longer needed here. Now you've faced your biggest fear, and the biggest fear could mean, talking about what is considered, at least for now, or what you may think is considered shameful. And the mental health issues have thankfully evolved over the years, especially since I've been a kid. I'm 47 years old, so I was raised in the 80s and 90s, and it was more shameful to be like, what do you have, mental health issues? What are you, weak? What are you, a wimp? Nowadays, people seem to be more open to it, but I think there's a long way to go with that. So it's shining the light on it so you can feel better, and then even if it's not suicide, it's stopping the behaviors that are not helpful. So drinking, using drugs, anything that distracts you or numbs yourself, with the purpose of avoiding. And then they say something like "nice" at the end. You hear it like right at the very end. So I was kind of listening for that. So yeah, third song, relatively short song on this album. Is it the shortest one? It's 5.5 minutes. Oh no, that is Lux Aeterna, or Lux Aeterna is the shortest one. But one of the shorter ones, but certainly a good one. Very catchy with very meaningful and heartfelt lyrics by the mighty Hetfield. So that is it for me. And once again, 988 if you're in the United States. It almost rhymes. If you need the help immediately, it's 24/7. Give the line a call, and do what the song says. At least at the end, expose this. Talk about it. Invite the demon to dinner. Maybe it won't be a demon anymore. And if you start to reframe it as, yeah, this is pretty. These are pretty awful thoughts. But what is it? What are they trying to tell me? So that could be maybe make it less scary for you. So, all right. So 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, and then if you go to 988lifeline.org, you can hit the chat button if you're more comfortable with chatting. So that is it for me. Feel free to email me at mmampodcast@gmail.com. I almost forgot my email. And it'd be nice to hear from you. All right. Have a good one, everybody. Take care. Bye.